In today's video, you will learn how to capture the Frost Dragon in Call of Dragons. Now, we will do this by first analyzing the player's mistakes, then correcting it by showing correct movement required, followed up with a detailed explanation as to why. We will break this video into sections focusing on different dragon mechanics, so use the timestamps below if you're already familiar with certain parts of the raid. Section 1. Acolytes. Acolytes spawn periodically. The first spawn occurs at the 30-second mark of the raid. You can tell when acolytes are being summoned through the skill indicator above called Cold Call. There are 5 acolytes that spawn each round. 3 on the left side, top left, left, and bottom left, and 2 on the right side, top right and right. In this phase, your job is to save your artifact and cast them on the acolyte to burst them down. You may ask, why do I need to save my artifact for acolytes? We save our artifacts for acolytes to kill them as fast as possible because of the damage they deal. This damage is spawning blue circles underneath random players, which last for the duration of the battle. These blue circles deal damage over time equivalent to 5% of your maximum legion's count over time. In addition, it applies stacks called the Icy Prison, which reduce your march speed by 3% per stack. Upon reaching 10 stacks, your legion is frozen and can't move. Now that we know why and how to kill the acolytes, how do we know when the blue circles are spawning underneath us, and what should we do when this happens? You will know when a blue circle spawns underneath you by either carefully observing your legion or noticing when your screen flashes blue. When you're about to get the stack, there's a progress circle around to be completed underneath your legion. When your screen becomes blue and it seems like your screen is getting frozen, that's when you should know you have the blue circle and it's about to spawn on you. Now that we know when it happens, what should you do when it does happen? If you have the blue circles spawning on you, make sure to walk away from the rest of the group. Otherwise, that area in the den will be blocked off from standing. Other players will take damage from your mistake, and the area of the den that's being blocked off will make it harder to travel between acolytes when it does summon to kill it. The recommended area to bring the circles is at the bottom right of the den, as no acolytes spawn there. Priority, however, is to bring it away from the rest of the group. This is the most important mechanic, which kills most dragons attempts. Section 2. The Frost Breath. Now, the Frost Breath or the Cold Front attack is a 2-part attack. The first attack will damage players with a continuous damage of 10% maximum troop capacity every second if you're in the inner circle. This lasts for around 3 to 4 seconds. Afterwards, the frost spreads outwards, and when it stops spreading, players caught will take 35% of their legion's maximum legion count. So, how do I dodge part 1? First, you need to stay outside of the inner circle. Generally, ranged units at max range should be able to dodge this easily. Especially archers at max range, it is at the perfect distance to dodge the first initial attack. Now, how do I dodge the part 2? Now, the part 2 is the most tricky part. You need to stay at the edge of the inner circle. So if you're in the archer, play in your max range and you just need to walk up. And if you're mages, play a little closer to where the archer's range is. You have to be as close as possible to the inner circle when you are getting before you're getting damage. Then when the inner circle clears up, walk towards the inner circle and stay away from the outer circle. One more thing to note, there's some videos out there that tell you to run all the way back. Don't do that. The time taken to run all the way back and walk all the way forward again will decrease the damage you deal. And since the timing is very important, players should remember the timing of this as much as possible. Section 3. Dragon Stacks. The Frost Dragon applies Icy Prison or these stacks on your character when it takes an attack from the dragon. These include taking damage from the blue circles, the tornadoes, or just any attack in general. When this happens, it reduces your march speed by 3% per stack, and later on, after the red circle phase, which we'll talk about later, it will release a big burst of damage, 3% of your max troop capacity per stack. So, for example, let's say you have 5 stacks on you, right? If you have 5 stacks, later on, once the big burst comes out, you'll take 15% of your max troop capacity as damage. So a TLDR of this is that it slows you and will damage you later. Avoid getting stacks as much as possible. Now, Section 4, the Dragon Red Circle phase. This phase occurs when the dragon sucks in the blue circles. This is called Creeping Cold and is indicated on the top part of your screen. During this phase, players should split into 2 groups and hug the edges of the map, going to the left or right and rotating to the back ends of the layer. This is so we can plant the red circles so it will not hit us on the far end of the map, and we'll have space to collect the mana stones. I see players following this the first time it occurs, but neglecting it the second round, so make sure to always follow this path no matter how many times it occurs in one attempt. Section 5, the Freezing Tornadoes. So the Freezing Tornadoes spawn every 2 minutes and will target any legion at random. Our observations show it can change targets, and there's no way to figure out if it's targeting you unless you get a feel that it's chasing you. So for example, you're in the far back area of the den. If the tornado is walking towards you, that's how you know it's targeting you. Now, the tornado inflicts 1 stack of Frost Curse and deals 5% of your max troop count as damage. This is another thing that kills behemoth raids. So normally, when you do like really well in the first phase, once the tornadoes come, that's when it kills you. So out of all of this, I think the most important things to remember and to take note of to dodge is the Acolytes spawning the blue circles. Make sure to walk back. Is the Frost Breath, second part. When the Frost Breath starts spreading, the outwards second breath, which does 35% of your max troop capacity. And lastly, the Freezing Tornadoes. Make sure to move away from the tornadoes. If the tornado is coming to a big group, start moving yourself away. So yeah, that wraps it up. Hopefully you guys learn and we take Dragon.